one I've been looking forward to for quite some time now. I'm here with John Willard, Half Crazy Racing. Now, if y'all hadn't seen him before, you're missing out. I'm in his trophy room right now. We're both sitting here, and I tell you what, there's so many to look at. So many remarkable accomplishments here. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Well, we're doing okay.
Yeah?
Yeah. I didn't go to the race yesterday, but...
Well, you know.
It was cold down there.
Oh,
I'm glad I didn't go.
Oh, well, and the race that he's speaking of is the one in Tennessee, correct?
Yeah, the Sweetheart.
The Sweetheart race. I was kind of curious about that, too, when you and I spoke before. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. You were telling me that it's a good-sized race.
It's a nice race. I
mean,
when we went to the one for Thanksgiving, it was 241 cars entered that race that day.
That's a lot
of cars.
One-day
race.
That's a lot of cars.
It is. There were rumors that the place was being bought out.
Oh, so then everybody was just kind of like, "Oh, I'm gonna get there."
Right. Well, it was one last race for the track, and we were gonna be there. So we went down. I met the guys that I know from Pennsylvania down there, and then I met the locals that were down there, and everybody was kind of like, yeah. And we didn't do too bad, but on that race. But
okay, well, see, I wanted to point out a little bit. I did a reel for you. I would say it was a month ago, to kind of show who I was going to be talking to. And I don't feel it got enough attention it needed to, because I tell you what, the cars that you've drove throughout the years, you and I were kind of talking about this. Pretty much everything.
Everything but a sprint car.
Everything but a sprint car, exactly.
And I did own one of those. I was going to, but I didn't. So.
Well, and we were kind of brainstorming now. How long do you recall being racing? I'm getting into this whole racing season.
It's right at 40 years when I built my first one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What kind of made you make that leap and take that big step and go, you know what, I'm going to get a dirt track car, we're gonna put it on sand?
Well, my dad years earlier had a mini stock that he ran at Old Lakeside. And I wasn't old enough to get in the pits back then, so Mom had to go so I could go, which that was her job back then, because, I loved going down there and messing with that car and Dad's shop, or he'd have it in the garage, and I would just, being a kid. So, yeah. But, with Dad racing there for a long time, and they did well. I mean, he was always up in the top, so. But.
So you're a generational driver.
Yes,
your father raced. And did your grandfather race? Do you know of?
Well, I don't know if he did or not.
Okay.
If it was moonshine. So.
The real Dukes of Hazzard there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad raced. He made a lot of cars fast. He was known for it back in his younger days, So.
Okay. Now, you have children that race as well.
Yes, I have. I have 4 boys that have all gotten into race cars. I've got one grandson that he does fairly well now, and they race down around the Nevada and the old Lynn County and Butler. So.
Okay. Oh well. What's their names?
Johnny, Jesse, Joey, and Jeremy are the boys, and Jared is the grandson. So.
A lot of J's.
A lot of J's.
Yeah.
Well,
and John. So it kind of all fits together now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, there's so much here. There's just so much. We're going to be here for a hot minute. So I'm hoping hope everybody is kind of comfortable and willing to kind of sit in.
Grab a beer.
And, get comfortable, because I think we're going to be here for a good minute, because there's so much history. So much history.
Well, most of this all came within the last 7 years. I mean, I was really blessed once we started. Dad ran mini stocks, and I've ran there just about everything. I've ran modifieds, I've run street stock, I've run pure stock, I've run, the little cars before. And, we ran a cruiser car class at Savannah, and we won that championship there on that year that it closed. We ran down at Atchison. I mean, I've been pretty well blessed because what I've done with all these, I mean, you see all this glim and glamour and all that stuff, but that's an exception. I mean, that's why I feel so blessed. This is any racer's dream to have this many race wins, and the more wins you have, the more everybody knows about your car and the bigger the cheater you are.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you cheat or not, it doesn't matter. If they won't do the work to catch you or won't listen to you to drive it to where they can, then that's all they're going to do is complain, And that's what I see. These haters are just jealous.
Right.
And, I don't know what I did right at this time. I did something. But
hard work. It shows. Hard work.
And it's
dedication.
It's from several tracks. This is not, in 3 years I won 5 track championships. Yeah.
Wow.
That was busy. I remember the one year when we were running Humboldt on Friday night, and I had kidney stones. 90 days. Till they went in and took them out. And I raced Atchison and Humboldt Friday and Saturday night through that whole
with kidney stones.
And won both championships that year.
Wow.
So
whew.
It was interesting.
Yeah, least to say. Now, there's a couple things I want to let people know about you that I've learned about you, if you don't mind. Yes. You are a quilter.
Yeah.
And I find that awesome. It takes a very patient person to quilt.
Well, quilting's in her family. My grandmother quilted. She has quilts all over the United States. She quilted and sold them to survive because that's what they did back then. My aunt still does quilting. She's getting up into about 85, 86, and she's got her own quilter. So I go down there and I hang out with my aunt, and we do the tops here, and then I take them down there and we quilt them up down there. Gives her something to do, and she's glad to see me when I show up. Plus, Poplar Bluff Reach, where track's down there. I can go down there on a Saturday morning. We can go racing Saturday evening, quilt for a little while on Sunday, and then drive back Sunday evening. So
that's great.
And I'm just glad that.
I find it fantastic. And here's a main reason why I bring this up. Is you did a quilt here recently for another driver's kiddo.
Timmy.
And that was Chris. He's a competitor of yours. He drives in the same class.
Yeah, he's
Chris Nichols.
I helped him win his car last year.
Yeah. Remarkable family. I've had the honor to meet him and his wife.
Yep.
And you brought that to their daughter around Christmas time. And it was a Christmas gift. And Chris's wife said that she absolutely loved it.
Well, Chris's daughter is autistic, so we made an autistic quilt. And then she loves Indy cars. She loves going to race because, I don't know, most people don't know, Chris does a Marca pit for the number 3 car, I think it is. I don't know the guy's name. But they would go to the track. She would go to the track, and she loved the Indy cars because Indy and ARCA both ran at the same time when they were down here in Kansas City, I believe, on the same weekend.
Okay.
So we found an Indy car sheet that was the whole scene, the racetrack, the wall, the crowd above, everything is right there. And I know he's got it posted, so you can go to his deal. And we did that just because, Chris is a good guy. He's always been good to me, and this is when he talks to me, he expresses how much she loves that quilt. You don't get this is where her quilt sits. You don't get in her area, and when she sits down, she covers with it.
That's hers.
So, yeah,
that's hers.
That's hers. And she's met me a couple times, but I don't know that, if I walked up, if she'd know me for sure.
Oh, I'm sure she would.
She might, but she's only met me a couple times.
Right, right.
And I've made quilts for other people, I've got somebody that I was going to try and start doing this. I've got a guy that says he can take a photo and transfer it and cut it out and transfer it onto the cloth that we use for making the quilts. And I thought about, and I seen him one time, was making a small quilt that you could throw over your shoulders, and it would have an arm, so where because you can always wrap your arm.
Oh yeah.
So if you got it and it was long enough to where you could just sit on the back of it, throw it over, and be like that, and then it would have arm holes in it.
That'd be great.
But then it would have like the person's car on the back, and it'd be quilted. The inside of it would be flannel, so that it'd be extra warm going to the track on.
Okay, sign me up for the first one. I want one because it does get cold at the racetracks. I tell you what, especially the beginning and the end. I mean, you got that middle there that's really hot, but the beginning and the end, that's better. That sounds better than a hoodie.
Well, it would be basically.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, sign me. I want first one. I got first dibs.
Well,
just saying. Sorry, folks, but I got first dibs.
I have to figure out how we can get that made up into the big enough to go across the back, and then maybe cut it into like a circle motion, and then put checker flags around that or something. I don't know. I'll come up with some kind of design for it.
Oh yeah, I have confidence.
Yeah, I mean, one of them things. And if I get real creative, I might even put a hood on it that folds down into it. When you fold it up, it would fold out, and you could throw it over.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Pick a hood up. I mean, there are different things and ways of doing it, but the cost of this stuff is so high anymore.
Oh yeah, it's just like race parts. Do we want to really talk about that one? Because I tell you what,
race parts are cheap if you don't pay any bills. Then you've got plenty of money for race parts.
True.
But
true.
Some of us live in a real world where we all got bills to pay. But I mean, it happens.
Okay, I want to kind of touch. I want to go back on your racing a little bit here. I got some questions, if that's okay. Now, at all the classes that you've been in 4-cylinder. You've been in. Were you in a late model at one point?
I've got the late model sitting out on a trailer. I mean, I've rented a couple times, but that was it.
Modified, stock car, super stock.
Yeah.
The bigger cars. I think we were talking about this, the Volkswagen that you had, or have still.
I have a Volkswagen.
Yes.
But it's a front-wheel drive.
Oh, it's a front-wheel drive.
Late model.
Now, for people that have not seen his car, this 4-cylinder, when I very first met you, was at Electric City Speedway.
Yeah. And
you pull up to the pit next to us, and you got this 4-cylinder car that looks like a truck. Yeah. And I looked over and I said, "What is that?" And it was just so cool because it was different. Because you always see these little 4-cylinders, they pretty much look all the same, just different colors. Yours was completely different. I tell you what, every time I've seen you hit that track with your 4-cylinder, you've kicked ass and take names. Every time. It doesn't matter if you're in the back, doesn't matter if you're in the middle. I've seen the navigation that you do is remarkable. So, with that being said, does that come with just seat time and patience and practice? Or is there a certain way to kind of...
Well, I don't think you learn anything about racing without seat time. Because you've got to do everything all at once when you're in the seat. And making sure the car turns and everything like that, that's all done in the shop. But without the seat time, you don't know how to adjust it because you can't say what's going on with this car. And I've had several cars. I've had several people that drive my cars from the 4-cylinder. And they're like, whew, yeah, well, that's got a lot of just research and development put into those cars. And that's why the cars are fast, because anybody that I've taught how to set the car up. If they set their car up that way, they'll admit that car is fast. And if you get out there bumping around and getting into banging and all that, you're just going to mess the setup up. Then I got to be on it again. You know. So
I think you're maneuvering as well, in my opinion.
Well,
is your lack of being intimidated.
No, you will not intimidate me on a track. If you want to run rubbing tires all the way around that track, I will rub tires with you all the way around. I won't take you out on purpose.
But we're going to touch if we need to.
Oh, yeah, we will. I mean, it happens all the time. So I thought that the truck, I mean, it needs a body put on it, but it's 4 years old.
It's super cool. I just had to touch base on that because, I mean, I find it remarkable.
Well, it was just ingenuity. I like being different. When I pull into the track, I want you to know this is me. And plus, when we used to film everything, everybody looked the same. You couldn't find your car, so they get lost. So if you make something that's bright and it's odd looking, you can follow the car around the track. But if you don't, it's like when they first came out with the 4-cylinders, everybody flat blacked them and put some kind of stupid looking number on it. One was green, one was red, and it was on with a rattle can, and there's just no pride in their cars.
Yeah.
And so they get a bad name. The little cars do. Them cars, they don't do it. Well, what we do is we do what in the little class, we do what the racing used to be. Is we go out there with what we can and we race them. Those cars are pretty upgraded now, and the tracks keep holding them back. They'll keep, when they came out with a factory stock, it was factory stock. Then it was a pure stock. And, and they're supposed to be the same, but a factory stock might have a great big old motor in it because that's what they brought in off the street. Well, you can't do that with the little cars. The tracks won't allow it. I get told a lot of times that, no, you can't run the track because I'm not going to listen to the other driver's bitch. Okay. Well, let's run them across the scale. And I'm usually 100 to 150 pounds heavier than they are. And they're like, really? Because they think I cut all that weight out of there and I'm just light as anything. And I'm not, I've run 2,497 pounds most of the time. That's a heavy for that truck. But I've been told to take the weights out of it when I first built the truck. But it was an old modified trick. We took a valve cover, had a guy who works at a fiberglass plant in Kansas City, and I had him make me some weights. So when I brought that new car out, with all that back end cut off of it, it looked like I had 6 valve covers laying back there on the bars. And everybody was walking by going, yeah, he cut it up, it looks neat, but look at all that damn weight he had to put in there. And they didn't have anything in the rules, so I couldn't do it. And all it was decoration. Because I finally got caught down in Nevada. And they said, oh, no, he's got all that weighted, blah, 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 blah. So when I went across the scales, the guy says they're bitching about the weight. And I said, I ain't got no weight. He says, yes, you do. I said, no, I don't. I ain't got no weight back there. He walks back and he looks. He says, I can see them plain as day. There's 6 weights back there. I said, flick them.
They're hollow.
They're hollow. And he went, oh my God. The brackets were aluminum, and I had 2 weights together, and the brackets weighed more than the weights. So it was all in their head. Everybody was trying to pack weight on the back of their car to make it fast as me, and couldn't do it. Because I was...
And you had to show them. You had to show them, hey, it looks like it has weight, but it doesn't have weight. It's just my driving, and you can't beat me.
It's all mind games.
Right.
But if you put 300 pounds on the back of the car, it raises the front end off the ground and makes them spin. So where was I thinking? if the competition's going to weight their car, they're going to throw them all the way to the back, and they're not going to be traction. They're going to lose traction, and that worked for a while, you know. So when people say I cheat, I don't cheat. They cheat themselves because
they're trying to keep up
show
with you.
An illusion.
They're trying to say, well, you're doing it, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I remember they snuck in some DOT race tires at first down there at Atchison. And he says, oh, yeah, you'll never find any of these. Well, I had them on the phone the next day. I had them delivered. And I brought it in, and then I thought, damn, now I got to figure out how to run them, you know, because race tires are different than DOTs. And, yeah, they didn't like it much once I figured it out.
I bet not.
Yeah, I could hold it with it wide open around Atchison.
It sounds like you had a lot of fun. It sounded like you've had a lot of fun.
I do have a lot of fun, and I wished everybody could have fun, but, you know, it's not like it used to be. It used to be, you know, like the modified I had. That was a modified. It was just an open wheel car. It was basically, there were no E mods, there were no Midwest mods, there were no B mods. It was modified, and that was it. You know, so when they brought all these others, that's where you broke up all the field.
So on the modifieds, how was that racing a modified? Well, for you?
I don't mind. I didn't know enough about them. I was trying to take all the information from other people and try to drive their car instead of me driving my car. And then I finally got to where keep listening. And then when this guy comes in and says this, what's he feeling? So I get back out there in my car, and when I feel it, I just do what they told him to do, and I just correct it. And I did okay. I mean, I raced Savannah. I raced Wheatland before it was Lucas, when the modified. We were down in Texas. We go to Oklahoma. I mean, I was running with the guys that were running them, and we were doing okay. We were making the shows, but it just never a front dog. You know, I could win a heat race now and then, but...
Oh, you know, you had the underdog on your car. On all your cars.
That's why it's on there.
And
because I always been...
If nobody knows, some people will know who the underdog is, some of them won't. The underdog, I tell you what, when I seen the underdog, I was like, yes! That's back when I was watching cartoons, you know, as a little one, eating cereal on a Saturday morning, watching, you know.
Yep. So, but I was the underdog when I started out in these cars because I hadn't, you know, here I'm chasing a guy that's a 3-time champion.
Not so much though. Not now. Not now.
Not once I got the hold of it. He got a few gold races in, but pretty much I took over and I won the next 2 championships at that track. So.
Well, you were underdog for a small amount of time.
Right. I always had Steven, and he worked in my shop. He always had a car. Dave got a car. And Barry, down in Topeka, he got a car. And everybody that I've put in cars and let them drive it, all except I think one, has become a track champion. So
that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. So I try to talk to people and for the next generation of people, and I think you've probably watched some of these interviews. I ask people, what's some advice that you would give to these youngins that are thinking about getting into racing, or not even youngins, just people, you know, whoever, or the first year ones that don't know anything, that are, you know, green under the gills. What advice would you give them to kind of reassure them that this is the sport?
I would tell somebody that wants to get into it, because it's getting more and more expensive. You know, modifieds are out of the question, you know, and they all want to go fast. They all want to do this. They all want to do that. So I would tell them to start out in either a hobby stock or front wheel drive. Front wheel drive is cheaper than anything. You know, what you spend on a hobby stock once a week, I can go all month, you know. and I won't have any other expenses, and I might go 2 months on the same money, you know. Of course, now I win, so
Yeah, I mean, like, let's not mention that.
I get a little bit of kickback, so I can keep everything maintained. But you know, with the tires, what are they? $180 a piece now for a hobby stock. It's like, man.
Oh yeah.
So I know that they're kind of pricing them tires out of well, but I can go down to Southwest Speed, and when they get a tire load in, they're only $70. They're the same damn type of tire, but USRA don't allow them, IMCA don't allow them. But what about these tracks like they got some IMCO rules or something like that, Missouri, Kansas, MOCAN rules or something like that.
Right.
Well, why don't they implement them tires? Save your guys. You're in the lowest class. You're in the pure stocks, and it's a MOCAN rule set. Put them on tires that are $70 and take away the $170 expense. And everybody, yeah, all you guys with money, you know, all you got is new tires. I got to run used tires, and you can't find them tires. Well, then run the other tires and run them used, you know. But if you want new tires, you have to win twice to pay for 2 tires. Or you might have to win more than that now.
Right.
Because I don't think hobby stock pays 100, 150 maybe.
Maybe.
Okay, so you can't get the right rear you burnt off winning that race.
Right.
Without
I guess it all depends on the track. When I was talking to a fella today, he said he was telling me the payout, the local track that he went to, and in comparison to the tracks that I've been around, I mean, we're talking $100, $200 difference, and it could be based upon whatever track you're running at.
Right.
Honestly. So, and then also with your 4-cylinder class, you were talking about how the tracks are kind of pushing them out, which in a sense I see that they are, but if you get like places like Springfield, there's quite a few of those cars down there.
Springfield don't like me either.
But if you get up towards, you know, Nevada or Butler or anything like that, I see it starting to slowly come back, but there would be times there was only like less than 5, you know, there.
Which is not good.
No.
For nobody.
I know. And
but with those 5, how many extras came with them in the pits?
Right.
They're paying the salary for the next class up.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely. And I think that's great advice as far as if you want to get into it, get into a hobby stock or a four-cylinder. Yeah. Because it is good racing if you watch.
If you can get a bunch of guys that aren't demolition.
Oh yeah.
You know, if they would race you instead of just trying to wreck you to beat you, you know. It's a lot of good racing. I've been to a lot of different tracks, and I've run side by side with some good people in these cars, full bore, and they're like, "Man, it was fun." Yeah, it feels like getting out of that modified. You know?
Well, you know, I want to ask you this too. You've obviously went to many tracks.
Yeah.
Many. What is one that sticks in your mind that you love that you would go back to?
I've been going to Tri-State Speedway in Patola, Oklahoma for 20 years, at least. And I've gone there in different cars. I've gone there in modifieds. I've gone there in super stocks. I've gone there in the front-wheel drive. And it took me, it's been a little over 20 years, because I finally won a race there in the spring, which was the kegger, and then I turned around and backed it up with winning the spooker in the fall, and then turned back around and won the kegger again in the spring. So I won them bang, 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 but it took me 20 years, and I drove all the way home, 5-hour drive. I was up. I was amped. You know, I finally was going. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's a half mile. It's an old asphalt track. It's got walls on inside and outside. It is just a massive, dry, slick, see you later, bye. track.
Fun track.
Yes. I mean, I had to increase, like, the tire size had to come up like 6 inches around in order to run that track. When I could run what I was running at 35, I could run that same setup down there and place in the top 5, but that 6-inch bigger tire and no lift on the feet put you to the front.
Oh boy.
And they can't catch you.
Whew.
Yeah. I've been against some pretty dang good cars down there. And there's good people. I mean, them racers down there, I mean, it's like, man, have you got this? Yeah, I got it. Go over and get it. I ain't getting in your shit. Well, just a minute then. And I'll go over, get them a strut or something, a spindle, anything, you know. And they're like, calling me, man, you got out of there before I got that part off the car. I said, I ain't worried about it. See me next time. I'll be back, you know. And you just haven't. I haven't gone down. They canceled a couple because last year was a bad year with rain and stuff, so the cancellations were bad everywhere. And so, but they call me and ask me if I'm coming. They'll message me, the other racers. And this is the thing I get the most, which is kind of good, is, are you coming down? Man, I've made some adjustments on my car, and I just want to see if they're working. Well, what's that mean? Well, if I can get as fast as you, you know. But you have to have, when you drive that track, you have to know what your car is going to do. When you hit that corner, you got to know, is it going to push? Is it going to what? Because
Right.
there's a lot of good traction on that track, even when it's slick. So,
Okay, so, you know, sitting amongst all these trophies, and I really wish everybody could see it. I'm sitting here alongside. I mean, we're
yeah,
lining the walls here.
they're deep back there.
Yeah. I have to ask, out of all of these, what's that one? What's that one win? That one memorable?
Probably the spooker, or the check. That one's for the spooker. I think it would be probably this kicker, 42nd annual. That would be the first race I won down there at Pacola. You know, I don't know, these trophies, they all mean something because it is what I've accomplished. But you know, there's just like that track. It took me forever to tame that track, and I finally did. And when I did, I was up against cars that I was outclassed. Like, there are different levels of 4-cylinder cars. And here, we have to keep it pretty stock for the local rules. You know, basically it is a stock, but they let you do a couple little things. But it's got to go through IMCA or USRA in order for you to be able to do it. So when I go down there, VVT cars are, man, they're tough. And I don't have VVT. So I've run with them. I've been to Tennessee running with them for a long time, and I can get in the top 10. I placed 6th that one year against the VVT cars, but time's coming. You know, I'm going to do something. I was against the VVT cars that run down in South Carolina and stuff like that, down at Pacola. And it was just, I know when I'm outgunned, and I am truly the underdog when I go to these places. But I have made a lot of people mad. That guy, he come in there and he was just cock of the walk, you know. But he forgot I went to Tennessee and raced against his buddies, and he was there that night. And when I saw him, I thought, no, I don't remember you being that fast. So I said, well, I know what I got to do, but I'm going to have to do it real hard. And he got out of his car, and he said, there ain't no way that car's got a stock-ass motor in it. And I said, well, after the feature, I'll sell you that motor for $300. What? He got more than that in his intake. And I beat him in the feature that time. So, but we're buddies. He knows I'm competition. He built a better car last year, and he outran me last year. So but I'm not mad. I don't care. Now I just have to do something else, step up to the plate a little harder. I did find out that my car was running bad, but let me get that excuse in there. It actually was. I mean, for real. I mean, but we thought we were curing it, and we weren't. It wasn't up to 100%. So when I got it up to 100%, I figured out how fast that car was again, and that's how I did so well down in Knoxville.
Oh, that sounds like you've had. Oh wow, quite the travels.
Well,
quite the travels.
I've been lucky there too, to be able to. A lot of guys can't, because the fuel price is still stupid. And I cut down on last year. I probably didn't run 12 races, but I think I won 7 or 8 of them. So,
I mean, that's
yeah. It was just kind of a hit and miss here. I did feel good, and, my age, and them little creaks and cracks of.
Yeah, getting in and out of that car. Yeah. It'll get to you. So is there a guy, another racer, besides your father, that was your guy, the guy that you looked at and you were like, I like how he does stuff. I kind of inspired from him.
Well, as a kid, I'm playing with Hot Wheels. It was Richard Petty, and that's what it was. But as far as actually at the track, Bobby Lane. Man, Bobby Lane was just hard to beat. There was so much crap out there about him, and there was no way he could have been doing it all. But they were, how rumors are, they expand.
Right.
But I've seen Bobby Lane pull more motors out of cars because he got cleaned every week, twice a week. I mean, he's a good thing he had a machine shop, because he had to have a lot of parts laying around, put another motor together, and people would complain about them motors because he might have 4 different size pistons. Put them in the motor. He's good. He knew it was getting cleaned. If it'd hold together that night, he'd win. Yeah.
Wow.
So I heard rumors that he used to weld the main caps and the heads down to the blocks and all that shit, but I don't know if it ever happened, so I don't, But, people claiming them motors were mad because it was junk. I mean, 100% junk. He might have 3 different size bearings in it because it had a real bad journal. Just clean her up, put it on in there, He knew he was getting claimed. They stopped claiming him for a while.
Because he'd go out there and win with junk.
With junk. And he just had a setup. He had a Vegas station wagon for a modified. That was back in the day when they run steel bodied on a modified. They'd run the front half of the car and open up from the front hood forward. That was your open wheel modified with flat hood. Yeah. It was interesting.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was your guy.
Bobby Lane was, if anybody knows anything about Kansas City racing history, Bobby Lane is he's just the man. He's still doing it today in his little sprint car. And he still wins a bunch,
He's just that guy.
He's that guy. He invented a transmission that was direct drive for the modifieds a long time ago. And there for a while, he was using it until, I don't know if it was IMCA or USRA or somebody. Oh, no, you can't run that. It's illegal. They didn't have their sticker on it.
That's what it was.
More likely, because he couldn't use them after a while. But I don't know if they discontinued them or what they did. But I don't know enough to talk about what really, I just know that it was a good thing. And I'll talk good all day long. So, yeah. If you wanted to sit down with somebody, old Bobby Lane's somebody to sit down with.
And I find that to be intriguing. I would like to possibly speak to him. With the internet nowadays, sometimes you can get a hold of people, sometimes you can't. You got to know people to know people.
We'll get all
so. Well, you hear that, folks? There might be a possibility. That'd be kind of cool.
There's still Lane Machine Shop in Kansas City.
Okay.
So.
That'd be kind of cool to talk to him. Yeah. I find that would be very informative, and I think people would take some good information from that.
Yeah. There's some good guys. I think his brothers or cousins or uncles or something, they've got 4 or 5 cars. So.
Okay. That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great. Now, this is another thing I've noticed in the racing scene. Support system. People that have your back.
I don't see it. I mean...
I met your wife. She's a sweet, sweet person. And I'm sure she...
Don't lie.
I'm sure she's one of those ladies that, picks you up when you're down and, encourages you as well.
Yeah, she does encourage me. Picking me up, no, she's too little for that. But she's right there to stand behind me anyway.
Well, I seen this wonderful picture, and I tried to convince you to do this, but it didn't work. I was kind of hoping it'd happen. You had a picture with your wife, and you had a crown and a cloak on.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
That's a race that Atchison had every year, King of the Ring, because it was fenced all the way around, and that's just what he called it. And if you won that race, then you were crowned the king for that one. Yeah. So
I tried to get you to wear the crown. It didn't work.
You might get her to wear the crown, but I didn't want to put it on a race night. I don't wear hats or anything like that, so not usually.
Well, will we be expecting you a little further south this season?
I think you'll find me some places.
Okay.
It depends a lot on the rules.
Okay.
I mean, I had to buy another car last year to match some of the rules that are going on. I got to verify rules at certain tracks, and then I've got to put them cars and finish them up and get them the way I want them. Now, I'd like to go to Springfield a couple more times because, man, that track is fast and fun. And I wish they had the 4-cylinders on the Turkey Bowl.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it would.
I'll tell you what, though, that Springfield, that Turkey Bowl, it's packed to the max on Turkey Bowl.
But they could spread that out a couple of days and cure it.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
but that would be pretty remarkable to see the 4-cylinders, full force.
Yeah, I had one of the drivers down there message me after I went down there the first time, and he said, "Don't come back. Nobody wants you back." So I called Jerry down there, the owner, and I said, "Why am I getting these messages?" He said, "They didn't come from me, did they?" And I said, "No, not that I know of." I said, "That's why I'm calling you, And he said, "Didn't come to me. Tell him off." He's pretty blunt about it.
Well, yeah.
He said, "If you didn't hear it from me, you come back anytime you want to."
Mr. Hoffman's pretty straightforward.
And then he remembered my car. And he said, "Oh, yeah, there's all kinds of people talking about your car. Come on down." Because that's what happens, is I'll be driving somewhere, and I'll stop and get gas. Well, here's these little boys and their dad or their mom, and they're like, "Oh, race car. Okay, yeah. And you see them, and they won't say anything. I said, "Come here. You got your phone on you?"
Yep.
"Yeah, I do." "Okay, well, let's get him up in that car where he can be a big boy."
Right.
And get his picture in there.
Right.
And, oh, man, he just loved that.
That's setting that next generation in motion right there. It's inspiring that kid.
Just like the quilt,
Yep.
Tammy
absolutely
loved it just as much as they love getting their picture taken in that car.
And this is another thing, too. You donate a bike for
I've donated a lot of bikes in the past. A lot of bikes.
I seen another picture of you with a little boy, and I'm trying to recall what you told me about that.
Bike.
Yeah.
I won 10 in a row at Hutchinson, or Humboldt, not Hutchinson, at Humboldt. And I said, I'm bringing a bike to give away next week for this being my 10th win. So in popped all the kids. And they just gave tickets, kids' tickets. And here it was. I've got the little bike, and this little dude, he was just happy. I mean, he won that bike, and he's down there, and he came out during Fan Appreciation Night where everybody comes out, and man, he's there, and he's like, yeah, this is my car, So to watch him do that, and if anybody can figure it out who that little kid is, it's been, I think, probably Humboldt was 17, so it's been about 5 years. He's due for a new bike.
Okay, folks, you hear that? I'll post a picture of it, actually, because I think you sent it to me. The little green bike.
And I've got it. The little green bike and the little green car.
Okay, I will post that up on Razor Edge, and we'll see if we can.
It was Humboldt, and I can tell you, it was Humboldt 2017, and it would have been, 11th race of the year because I won the 10th one. I lost the first one due to blowing the motor up to a teammate, and then I won the next 10 or 12, and then I lost the last one. So I got.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're gonna have to post that picture up because I would say he's probably about due time for a new bike now.
My wife knows his name.
Okay. Okay.
So.
Well, we'll have to see if we can find him. How's that sound?
Yeah, I'd love to go down there and give him a new bike.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
And
that means a lot to these children. I tell you what, it really does.
Right.
Nevada does stuff like that with the Fan Appreciation Night, and
I give a lot of bikes away down there.
Yeah, a lot of kiddos. I've heard kids talk about, well, I didn't have one, now I have one, and that just, it means a lot more than some people think to these youngins.
I would be like sitting back, like not last year, but the year before. Carb had 6 tracks, 2 nights each. I gave away 2 bikes every night the Carb was at any track. I got a deal on them down in Oklahoma. And the guy met me halfway up, and we just exchanged them. And I paid him for them and went on. And then I took them straight to the Carb lady, and I said, here. And some of them bikes were $150, $160. But I got them one price, take them as they come out, So I got good with the bad. And that was, they gave them away at ECS that weekend because I think they gave them away the weekend before I was there. And when I got there and I won that next race, there was appreciate what you did. And I didn't know what he was talking about because I didn't know they gave them away that night, the weekend before. I just didn't.
Right.
I gave them away in the spring. But I like going up and when they announce the kid's name and then watching them go get their bike. I don't want to interfere with it or anything. I just want to watch them because the faces and all their friends' faces are like, oh my God, like you got a bike. Okay. But, it makes you feel good.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And when I had the 4-car team, what we did was we were buying those bikes with any extra money we had from winning races or placement in races. We pooled all that money for repairs and bikes. So that's how that came about.
That's spectacular.
Because if you're in racing to make money, you're in it wrong.
Yeah. Around
here, anyway.
Yeah.
There are places you can make money, but you better be damn good at it.
That is true. That is true. This sport is what a lot of people consider a hobby. Other people consider it to be a lifestyle. So I've seen different point of views on that. So I kind of want to hear your opinion on that. Do you consider it a hobby, you know, a lifestyle, you know, what would you say?
Well, I, you know, I was in my 20s. We'd run around in the bars at night and whatever, you know. Yeah, we had our hot rods. In 30s, it was all the same. We'd work and, you know, we're doing derbies and doing other stuff. And you just, now I just do it for something to do. You know, I like doing it. I love the sport. I don't agree with all of it all the time. But, you know, if you can't make everybody happy, so
Yeah.
maybe today's my day not to be happy. You know, but if I'm not happy, I'm probably going to drive real hard, and I'm probably going to win that race, and then I'm going to be happy. So, I mean,
win-win situation there. Have a bad day, go racing.
yeah. Well, and,
Yep.
yeah, I kind of kicked myself for not going down there, even though it was cold in Knoxville, because I just did a new setup on the car, and down there it was working really, really well. But, I mean, the racing down there is so close that when you have your full field of 24 cars, they're all within a second or less.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's racing now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then I made that final change in my car on that last race, and I barely made it through the B, and so I started in the back. And I passed 8 cars. So I found something, and so I really wanted to go down there and find it again. But, because I think I know exactly what it was, but I got to be double sure.
Yeah.
And if
Got to go down and accomplish that track. I feel that you're just...
it's my next. I'll go there till I either stop racing or I at least win one. And then I always have to go back to back it up. And I meet my buddies I got guys in Pennsylvania, and he contacted me over the phone about something I was doing or commented on. He said, he's just going to call me and see. So he messaged me and said, hey, you got time to die? Yeah, what do you need? And started a real good relationship with the guys up there, because I was saying, well, you know, this is kind of what I do. And then it's like, here, let me just send you the parts.
Right.
So I sent him the parts. He sent me the money back. I mean, it's no big deal. I'm still doing it to this day for him. And I think they've won 3 or 4 championships up there. And everybody's like, oh, what you're doing to that car? You will never know.
So, do you have any superstitions? A lot of drivers do. A lot of in this sport, there's a lot of people that do, and there's some that really don't. What's your take?
I don't really have a superstition. I mean, I go with the normal. I won't have chicken on race day, you know, until after the races. But I've done that once before where we had chicken. Yeah, flat tire. So, you know, but the chicken was good. So it was okay because, you know,
there was a silver lining right there.
I still had my time at the racetrack. I still was with the guys, and it all was pretty nice, you know. So I don't worry about superstitions. I always make sure I pray. I don't pray for just me. I pray for everybody on the track, that everybody walks away. You know, there should have accident happen, that nobody gets seriously hurt. You know, and that a lot of people just really don't know about me. So, but
well, that's a good thing. It's a good thing. I was told by my husband, and you know, he has stated this before to other people too. He said it's something to the fact of, you know, when you go to swing your leg over that door, be prepared. Be prepared, because you don't know what's going to happen.
And when you put the helmet on, it's go time.
Yep. Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. John, I'm just dumbfounded by all this accomplishment around me. And like I said before, I really wish I could kind of just do a 360.
You can.
Maybe. We'll see.
Well, and then the other room downstairs has more.
So. Right. And I'm going to get this picture up. But I do got to say, I'm kind of... I've been thinking about that thing that I seen when I came in the house that your wife made. This pie. Yeah. This apple pie.
She's good at that stuff.
I'm gonna put a picture out, but boy, the thing's calling to me, I think.
Well, that lasagna she put in the oven when you got here probably called city too.
Oh yeah. So I hope to see you down south a little bit.
You will.
Because I like to see that half crazy racing. I tell you what, every time I've seen you on the track, I remember one video, and I told you about it too. The one I put in the reel. I was talking to a fellow, another driver, and I seen you out there, and that was the championship.
No, it was the championship belt.
Yes, the belt.
Whatever that race was.
Right. At Electric City Speedway.
Yeah.
And I seen you guys out there, and you were about 4 cars back from the leader.
Probably more than that.
Yeah, I think you were.
I thought he was about half track.
Right.
Ahead of me.
And you just, I told him, I said, you see that fella right there? And he said, yeah. And I said, he's going to win it. And, oh, you sure? I said, absolutely. You just watch. And he was watching, and you were navigating, and all of a sudden, right there at turn 4, you passed Chris. And I looked over at that guy and I said, told you, he's going to win it.
I pushed Chris across the line because that white flag came out, and we were going through that lap traffic, and I wasn't going to separate from him. Yeah.
And I tell you what, Chris had came up quite a bit, real quick, getting in a 4-cylinder. Yeah. So I'm thinking he took some good advice from a good driver. He got a
championship too, didn't he?
Yes, he did. All right, John. Well, okay. I sure appreciate you sitting and talking to me.
Anytime. I mean, like I say, I just feel like I've been blessed for the years. You know, I'm not ready to give it up, but I am ready to help people out if they need to, you know.
Ready to mentor.
Yeah, I've got a couple extra cars.
Okay.
If I found somebody that wanted to race the whole year, I would consider maybe.
Okay. Have some strong character to you, and you know, be willing to take advice. I'm sure you'd help any person out.
Pretty much, you know. Now, if I don't care for the people running their mouths all the time, so when they come call me and ask me, I really don't know much, because don't be buddied up to me.
Right.
To get your way to figure out what I got.
Right.
And then
be genuine.
Cuss me on the computer keyboard.
Right. Be genuine.
It's
be 100%.
You know.
Right.
Because there's never been anybody that asked for help that didn't get it. And there's a couple people that are going to be that I'm helping that are probably going to be a little dangerous this year.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just have to see. We'll have to watch it this year. Well, John, I'm gonna hop on and off here, folks. We have more interviews next weekend. This is Mr. John Willard, and if you guys are ever curious, I imagine you can look on Cheeseworks. Cheeseworks has caught you a couple times.
Yeah.
They've got
a lot of.
Yes. I caught some, not enough. In my opinion, maybe next year, maybe this season, I'll be able to catch some more at ECS and Nevada, and I don't know, I might pop in here and there and be like, oh, there's John. So I got to video him a little bit.
Chris kind of laid down a little gauntlet about this year that I'm going to need to, he doesn't like that one and out. He think he would like a couple extra times there to go around the track, see if he could beat me. And then I got to work on his car so he can. So if you're going to watch a good race, so me and Chris are going to be there. It's going to be a good race because I'm going to set his car up like mine.
Oh, that will be fun to watch.
Yeah. He'll be up here next weekend to get some work done.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I thank you very much. Folks, you have a good day. We'll talk to you later.
See you later.